Morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's Regulatory Technical Forum meeting. We are busy letting in some of the participants, so we'll start at 5 minutes past the hour just to let the technical team admit everyone. Thank you. Okay, good. I think we'll start. Again, welcome all to our Regulatory Technical Forum for the quarter. I see we've got quite a number of participants that have joined us virtually. As per usual, we will run this meeting fully virtually, and I'm going to ask Ntokozo to just share some housekeeping rules with us on how we will conduct this virtual meeting. Ntokozo, over to you, please.
All right. Good morning, colleagues. Just please take note that all mics will be muted during presentations and when speakers are addressing. everyone. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the Q&A chat section. The official chat section is disabled, but the Q&A section is open for any questions. The colleagues will try to answer them as presentations go. And at the end of the presentations, we'll have a verbal Q&A. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ntokozo. And if I could just ask then the SAHPRA team to just be on a lookout for comments and questions that will come through the Q&A. So we've got a jam-packed agenda as per usual, and thank you for the input that we received from industry on this agenda. There are some new items that we will engage with you on, as you'll note in the agenda. But in essence, the rest are our usual feedback on the different areas and work streams. So we're going to kickstart the meeting by taking a presentation from Pratibha on the BAU, please. Pratibha, over to you.
Thank you. Morning, everyone, and welcome to the RTF. And this morning I'll be taking you through the new registrations, renewals, and variation stats. Just one moment. All right, thank you. Right, so today's overview is the new registration updates, followed by renewals, and thereafter variations within the different work streams at SAHPRA. Right, so for new registrations, I'm presenting a slide that is familiar to all that are present at RTF. We'll start off with the new chemical entities and the number of masters that we have received within the different groups, what the estimated approval timelines are, and how we are faring in terms of finalized, pending, and then whether it is in backlog or not. So the data we are sharing is as at the 2nd of May, so everything in the system as at the 2nd of May. We are currently receiving applications in Group 24. For new chemical entities, our earliest application in the system is in Group 11. And as you may be aware, we are currently focusing 80% of our resources from groups 15 and below in an attempt to clean up applications that have been in the system for longer than the estimated approval timelines. So for new chemical entities, the estimated approval timeline there is 360 working days, and that excludes any technical screening time as well as time spent with the applicant. So as mentioned, the earliest application in the system is sitting in Group 11. We have 3 masters pending in Group 11. We are 50% finalized. In Group 12, we have 2 masters pending, and we are 78% finalized. In Group 13, we have 3 masters pending, and we are 50% finalized. In Group 14, we have 3 masters pending, and we are 25% finalized. And Group 15, we have 1 master pending, and we are 83% finalized. And I will leave you then to go through the data from Group 16 and below. Note that we spend 20% of our resources from Group 16 and below as we focus most of our attention from Group 15 and below. Right. So now we go on to the biologicals, and again, we report in masters. The earliest application in the system is in Group 8. For Group 8 applications, we have 1 master pending, and we are 88% finalized in that group. In Group 12, we have 1 master pending, and we are 83% finalized. Group 13, we have 3 masters pending, and that is 0% finalized. Group 14, we have 1 master pending, and we are 0% finalized. And Group 15, we have 2 masters pending, and we are 0% finalized. Biologicals also track at an estimated approval timeline of 360 working days, excluding any stop clock time as well as technical screening times. Over to biosimilars, and the earliest application we have in the system is a Group 2 application. We have one master pending there, and we are 67% finalized. In Group 9, we have one master pending. We are 86% finalized. And Group 13, we have one master pending and 75% finalized. And Group 15, we have 4 masters pending, and we are 0% finalized. The estimated approval timeline for biosimilars is also 360 working days, excluding stop clock time, as well as the technical screening time. And then we move over to the generics, which is where we have the bulk of the applications. The earliest application that we have in the system is in Group 8. We have 2 masters pending in Group 8. We are 99% finalized in that group. In Group 9, we have 4 masters pending, and we are 97% finalized. In Group 10, we have 11 masters pending. We are 91% finalized. In Group 11, we have 36 masters pending, and we are 69% finalized. In Group 12, we have 36 masters pending, and we are 53% finalized. In Group 13, we have 73 masters pending. We are 30% finalized. Group 14, we have 50 masters pending, and we are 31% finalized. And in Group 15, we have 54 masters pending, and we are 29% finalized. As I've mentioned, we are currently spending 80% of our resources on applications from groups 15 and below. In August 2024, we did a deep dive into applications that were sitting in Groups 15 and below. We had identified these as applications with delays in a finalization timelines. We had identified 521 masters in these groups. In order to make the project of clearing out this delayed approvals more manageable, we broke this down into applications with 1 to 4 units pending, and there were 466 masters there, as well as identification of masters where longer delays were expected, and there were 55 masters there. So happy to present the data today. As of the last data captured was the second week of May. So where we had started with 466 masters with 1 to 4 units pending, we are now sitting at 269 masters with 1 to 4 units pending. And where we had started with 55 masters, which had an expected longer delay in approval timeline, we now have 30 masters pending there. At a run rate, and the run rate we had identified that we want to work with in terms of finalization of the Groups 15 and below project. It's 50 masters finalizations per month, and then we'll expect that the Groups below 15 project will end around October 2025. This is a revised date from July 2025. And the reason for this is that from the inception of the Groups 15 and below project to around January, we had fundamentally changed internal ways of working in 2 units, specifically inspectorate and naming and scheduling. And we are now starting to see the fruits of those changes in terms of higher numbers in finalizations on a month-to-month basis. So in March, it was actually the first month where we had successfully achieved the 50 master finalizations. In April, we had a slight dip, and that was due to the implementation of the portal and the delays in the responses that were received. And in May, we are already seeing a pickup in terms of the finalizations with just over 20 finalizations in the 2 weeks of May. So the current run rate is around 40 to 50 masters per month. And our framework is now quite predictable, and how we are working is quite predictable. We've established our rhythm and our momentum, and hence the reason why we are confident that we would complete this project around October of this year. Right, then we move on to the renewals update. This is an overall summary per phase. We currently have 62 applications in screening query, 7 evaluations in progress, 12 have been withdrawn or rejected, 32 are in query with the applicant, and 109 have been approved. The 109 is approximately 215 lines. We are currently receiving renewals applications in phase 3. And to date, we have completed 78 out of those 215 certificates, and these are still to be shared with the applicants. Now we move on to the inspectorate unit, and we start off with the type 1 variations. For the 2022 and the 2023 revenue subsection, we received 1,286 applications. 372 of those applications are complete, and 914 are still outstanding. For the 2023-2024 revenue subsection, we received 1,834 applications, of which 620 are complete, and we have 1,214 outstanding. For the 2024-2025 subsection, we received 727 applications, 228 are complete, and 499 are outstanding. The team have identified interventions to improve ways of working and to reduce the number of outstanding type 1 applications. So as of the 17th of Feb, the interventions were introduced to address the evaluation backlog. And to date, or to the end of March 2025, 720 applications were completed within 6 weeks. So from completion at the end of December, which was 500 applications, the unit has now completed 1,220. Then we move on to variations type 2. We'll start off with February 2025, where the unit received 28 applications. They have completed 15 and they have 13 outstanding. And in March, they received 32 and they have completed none, and they have 32 applications still outstanding. The target for type 2 inspectorate variations is 120 working days, which is approximately 6 months. There is no backlog in this unit. The oldest application is around 2 months old, and the unit has successfully brought this timeline down from 5 months old to 2 months old, and that is as at December 2024 data. The interventions that the unit has put in place to address the variations type 2 is personnel related. So personnel that were allocated to the type 2 task to reduce the type 2 applications are then moving on to the type 1 work stream thereafter. And the unit has indicated that they have completed 81 type 2 applications within 6 weeks. So they have a reduction in type 2s outstanding from 126 applications to 45 applications. All right, now we move on to variations for the naming and scheduling unit. This is data overview from January 2024 to April 2025. The unit has 163 applications in total. They have completed 131. They have 24 applications in evaluation query. 1 is in process and 7 are still to be allocated. Right. And now move on to variations for the clinical unit. We will present first on clinical type 2, the overall summary, and this is data as at the 7th of May. The unit has 26 applications awaiting allocation. 39 are in progress, 2 are in screening query, and 11 are queries with applicants. 1 has been approved. What do the stats look like in terms of a deep dive? For the type 2 variations, there are 79 applications received between August 2024 to April 2025. There are 23 applications that have been received between August and November 2024, which are still in backlog. 12 have been processed. That is a unit output of 15%. For type 1 variations, the total received is 294 between the period of February 2024 to April 2025. The total in backlog is 80 from February 2025. 37 have been processed. That is at an output of 13%. And then finally, for responses, there are 64 applications between July 24 and April 2025. 21 of these are from 2024. 5 have been processed, and the unit is at an 8% output for responses. Right, then we move on to quality variations. For type 1A applications, there are 2,742 applications that are allocation pending. There are 141 applications that have been approved, 135 have been cancelled, 164 evaluation queries, 505 in peer review, 1,152 in primary review, 14 have been rejected, and 73 are in screening query. For the type 1B variations, there are 863 applications in allocation pending, 64 have been approved, 51 are cancelled, 75 are in evaluation query, 181 in peer review, 461 in primary review, 10 have been rejected, and 44 in screening query. And then finally, for the type 2s, there are 17 applications in allocation pending, 4 have been approved, 29 cancelled, 14 in evaluation query, 19 in peer review, 29 in primary review, 3 have been rejected, and 7 in screening query. And then final unit for feedback is the biologicals unit. And the status here from January 2023 to April 2025, the unit had received 302 type 2 variations, applications, that is, 348 type 1B applications, 226 type 1As, and 157 responses. Then in terms of how they are faring in terms of finalization, they have finalized 212 applications in type 2s, 92 applications in type 1B, 60 applications in type 1A, and 98 applications for the responses. And that brings me to the end of the stats updates for BAU. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pratibha, for the feedback. I just want to see if there's any questions that have been asked. I can't see the Q&A on my side, Ntokozo. Tammy, can you assist, please, maybe with some of the questions? I can only access the chat. I can't see the Q&A.
Okay, no problem. I do see a few questions there. The team and I will handle it. Do you want me to
Will
read
you
them?
guys handle them in the background? Maybe just read, let's take about, what, 3 or so?
Okay, no problem. So we
and
have
read
a
them
question.
out and then let's tackle them.
Okay, so it says, would it be possible to share an organogram for SAHPRA so we can see clearly to know who to escalate to when we don't receive responses to emails or calls to SAHPRA? Then there was a comment that there was no sound. I hope the sound has been rectified. Maybe industry can just put a thumbs up for us to say that you can actually hear us. Okay. Thank you. Then a second question, please confirm if the SAHPRA industry-facing tracker for new product applications are no longer operational. We are not able to track the latest status of our applications at the SAHPRA engagement portal, as the SAHPRA engagement portal still has implementation issues. We'll get a colleague to answer that. And third question, can we request that context or additional information is provided for queries in recommendation letters, please? We have been receiving queries that have not been required in any other countries or in previous products registered in South Africa, and the queries are very vague. If our responses are not sufficient, we will end up with second round queries that require payment. We want to prevent this as far as possible. Shall I pause there, Dr. Tumi?
Yes, and maybe I can start with the one on the request for the organogram and maybe highlight that. I mean, I'll think about it, but my immediate reflection on this would be that let's utilize rather the platforms that we have for sending in queries. I mean, obviously, when you get a query and you have to respond to that, I mean, I think most of you would know our assessors, and you can write to the senior manager. So for quality, you can write to Silverani. For clinical, you write to Toslang. For Inspectorate, Dion. So can ask that we rather handle it in that way, because we then make sure that the senior managers have sight of what the queries are, and if you battle at that level, you can then escalate to Tammy. So if we could use that rather than kind of directly writing to the assessors and asking questions to them, because remember, we've got internal assessors as well as external assessors, and so hence we would rather have it be a consolidated approach. I hope that's fine. We can always look at this again and say, is it working? Is it not working? Yeah, that would be my response to that for now.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tammy. We can maybe have Pratibha respond to the other ones.
Pratibha, can you come in?
Etc.
On the
Yes,
industry
sure.
facing? Thanks.
Yeah, I've actually responded in the chat, but the industry-facing tracker is working, or still applicable, rather, let me say that. We have been experiencing some issues with that tracker, and that has been escalated to IT. But it should be fixed. Please send me an email if you are experiencing issues, and we'll take it from there, right? Then there was the one question, I think, on additional...
Sorry, Pratibha, can I come in before you move on to the next point? Sorry, Chair, can I just make a slight correction if you'd allow me? So we had communicated to industry in various RTF platforms that for escalations, we would please like that you start with the unit manager, because once it comes to the office of the CRO and I do a checkup on where your unhappiness lies, it turns out that the unit manager does not even know of the problem. And Pratibha is right, the industry-facing trackers are working. However, please start with the unit manager, and then if no joy is received, then go to the senior manager. And from the senior manager, it comes to the office of the CRO, because the unit managers are the ones that are front-facing with the technical issues that you might have. So if you escalate it to the senior manager, they're still going to go ask the unit managers. So if I could please ask that you do inform the unit managers, their information is available before you come to the office of the CRO. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Khansi. Dr. Tumi, shall I continue? Can I take that next question and respond in terms of queries in the recommendation letters? So on that, colleagues, you know, the evaluators are as comprehensive as they can be. The comment that is being made that we've been receiving queries not required in any other countries. As you know, SAHPRA is within their mandate to make any other query over and above what needs to be clarified. I know that there has been a discussion within the RTF working group last week for a summary of what the queries are, and I would like to have sight of that. If industry puts that forward and sends it into the RTF working group, I would be very happy to engage and understand the context around these questions. Thanks, Chair. Do you want me to continue or do you want to add? Dr. Tumi?
Sorry,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Yes. I was saying maybe we can take 3 other questions, and then after that response, we then move to the next item.
Okay. Question, may I please receive stats regarding Reliance pathway? How much faster is the Reliance pathway from the full review pathway in real time? Pratibha, you can take that one for me.
Sure.
And let me...
Sorry,
Okay, carry on.
The question.
Carry on.
Yeah, may I please receive stats regarding the Reliance pathway? So I've responded on that as well. This has been an ask from the RTF working group, and it has been taken into consideration, and we are actually working on the required deck. So once we have that, we'll discuss with you, CRO, first. We will then take it to the RTF working group, and from there we will bring it to this larger working group. So it will be within the next 1 to 2 RTFs that Reliance pathway stats will start being discussed separately. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Pratibha. And just for industry to know, it is obviously an objective that we are driving at SAHPRA. So we do want to give the feedback to industry on where Reliance is possibly not working and move forward on the Reliance matter. The next question is, please advise when the new variation guideline will be available, presented for comment. I can take that. The unit amongst us, we're currently working on the variation guideline. I don't have a time as yet, but we can communicate via the industry working group on a timeline. I don't know if any of my colleagues from SAHPRA want to just comment there. Okay, we're good. The next question. Oh, sorry, I can't see hands. Go ahead, Sandy.
Thanks so much, Tammy. Good morning to everybody. For quality variations, our guideline should be finalized by June. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And we have another question. The stats for variations indicate a backlog for small molecules and biosimilars. There is a big impact on stock supply issues. Is there any means of having products where there is supply risk prioritized? Does anyone want to take that question? Dr. Tumi or the team or Inspectorate? Please go ahead, Dion.
So SAHPRA does have a priority review policy, and the priority review policy states that if you can demonstrate that you are the unmet medical need, then that will be recognized through the priority review process.
Okay, Dion, your line is very bad, just prompting you so you can manage to fix that before you present a bit later. Thank you. Thanks for answering that. Yes, there is a review process for priority. Dr. Tumi, shall I pause there?
Yes, thanks for facilitating this, Tammy. Let's move to the next item, please.
I think we have...
I think it's still Pratibha.
Sorry, I think it's cancellation of old medicines, Pratibha.
Okay, it's actually Christelle. I don't know if she's on the call.
I am. Thanks, Pratibha.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Feel free, Pratibha, to chime in. But I think it's for this particular item, I believe communication has been shared already with industry, where we indicated that a process can be followed now up until the end of May, where we can receive the cancellation request from applicants without necessarily then submitting a cancellation sequence as an ECTD. There was some requests to consider I want to say an ad hoc process to allow applicants who had not yet transferred from CTD to ECTD an opportunity to just clean these ones out of the system. So we obviously acknowledged that communication and then internally discussed and aligned on allowing this process to run up until the end of May. So this would be then for products that needs to be withdrawn or cancelled for this current cycle. Obviously, the products that were on the medicine registration database as at 31 December 2024, those fees are still payable before June. And the requests that we are receiving now will be processed in this year for that snapshot as at 31 December 2025. So I think the communication indicated that a written request needs to be submitted, just indicating to us then the application numbers that the applicants wish to cancel, withdraw. And we would then allow the team to actually process that, not through taking in the ECTD sequence, but in the old way of working prior to ECTD 3.1, which already came into effect on 1 November. So yeah, I believe this was communicated, and that is what we're busy doing. So I hope that creates the necessary clarity for anybody that missed then the communication that was issued in this regard. Thanks, Tammy.
Thanks, Christelna. Dr. Tumi, do you want me to continue or are you back online?
If you can continue with the questions, but I don't know if Pratibha wants to add anything. And maybe what we could do, since this was a verbal update, we can then have the team respond to specific questions on the Q&A platform. But if there is a burning question that you're noting, Tammy, please do raise it so we can speak to it. I don't know if you can pick up anything.
Not related to Christelna's topic. I'm still going through the questions.
Okay. No problem. No problem. So yes, please put your questions in the Q&A, and then Christelna and the team will respond. I think we can then move to the clinical updates, section 3 of the agenda. Over to Luleka, and then to yourself on the final Ifin.
Thanks, CEO, and good morning, everyone. I will be taking you through some of the common reasons for rejection during evaluations or technical screening, because we've noted that we are rejecting a lot of variations at screening, particularly for type 1 variations, and it's consuming a lot of time, whereas we could be focusing resources on type 2 variations that are taking a long time for us to evaluate. So some of the key evaluation and screening rejection trends that we've noted, I think we've tried to just club them into groupings. The first group is those that fall within the administrative and submissions gap. And we are seeing a lot of variations that have missing required documents. So you'd find that you've submitted your variation, but there are no working documents. So we can't proceed, the application cannot proceed to evaluation because the working documents are not there, or the proof of payment is incorrect, or you've done bulk payments, but you have not classified for us, given us a breakdown of which payment is for which variation. So we are then unable to proceed with evaluations. Others are not paying for duplicates and clones. and submissions of older versions of PI and pills as references when we do have currently approved PIs, because what we don't necessarily insist on you submitting innovator PIs, but because you will find that at times generics have updated their PIs, but the innovators wouldn't have. And we are seeing a lot of PV responses that are coming through, some coming through from 2023, 2024, recommendations that were made then being submitted now. And yeah, and no payment has been made for those PV responses. And issues of hyperlinking when we are trying to evaluate type 2 submissions, because as you may know, that they come with a lot of references. So it is important for the hyperlinks to be there and to be working. And we are seeing a lot of non-compliance as well to formatting issues. Some applications are still coming through with different schedules within one PI. And we are also seeing applications that are coming through with PEM quality and name and scheduling naming and scheduling issues that were not necessarily approved. So if it comes to us and you're not showing us that there is an approval for a name change or a scheduling change, we are unable to proceed with evaluation. And then we are also seeing those that are not compliant to our guidelines and our referencing requirements. So those that are not aligning to the SAHPRA, so you use a SAHPRA approved PI, but you don't necessarily align entirely to it. So you pick and choose what they pick and choose what they want to align with. And also improper referencing, utilizing CCDS for type 2 variations, but you are not providing us with the data on which this CCDS were sourced from. So if you are submitting CCDS and an SMPC as a type 1, we accept those, but if it's a type 2, then it's not acceptable. And the use of general placeholders like product name, particularly for the clean proposed PI and pill, because if we approve that clean PI and pill, we then find that applicants just send that into the PI and pill repository with a product name instead of the proprietary name. So we are then forced to reject those kind of applications at screening. And we are also seeing that the applicants are not compliant to the requirements of the proprietary name and company identifiers as per the NNS guidelines. So we've made a commitment to NNS that we will be rejecting some of these applications if applicants are then not compliant. And then in terms of PI and pill content and format issues, we are also seeing a lot of misuse of the variation classifications. Applicants are sending through type 2 variations and classifying them as type 1 variations. Omission of required excipients and warnings and drug-drug interactions, submission of contradictory or unsupported efficacy or ADR data, especially for generics. And we are also seeing that applicants do try, when they submit a type 1 variation for format changes, then they add new indications that were not previously approved. And the use of medical terms in PILs that is not necessarily understandable by laymen. And in PIL, as we may know, that is meant for the patient, so it needs to be in a language that is understandable. And also missing contact information within the PIL because it's a requirement of Regulation 12. And then the common evaluation-specific rejection patterns, it's softening or omitting safety information while you are aligning to the SMPC, you then soften or omit, you pick and choose, as I was alluding earlier, that there is that trend where we pick and choose what we want to align with. And the inclusion of non-relevant ADRs from unrelated formulations. You find that in the PIs, you add ADRs for an injection in a PI for a tablet. And then issues of inconsistent terminology as well. If you are choosing that we are using medical practitioner, it needs to be consistent throughout the PI. It can't be that there's a doctor and then a health professional or a medical practitioner within the same PI. And then the inclusion of gastric lavage, because we've moved away from this terminology, but we are still seeing some PI that have gastric lavage within their PIs, and the omission of standard overdose treatment. Also, we are seeing applications that the applicants are not aligning to PV recommendations, and if applicants want to not align or have objections to the PV recommendations, we've requested before that PV applicants should raise those objections with PV, because when it comes to clinical post-reg, it is just for the applicants to now comply. And then we are also noting text inconsistencies within the currently approved PIs or contradictory information in between sections of the PI. And just some of the key takeaways for industry, it would be to ensure that there is alignment with SAHPRA approved PI and pills, because we prefer internal reliance first before we can rely on other RRAs, especially if they are currently approved, recently approved PI and pills. And please ensure that when you do your classifications of variations, it must be according to the type of variation that you're applying for. So because we do pick up even if you sneak in things that were not meant for that variation, and ensuring that there's complete referencing and formatting, the appropriate use of guidelines when you are utilizing local or international guidelines, and with the request also to submit complete documentation for the for the relevant variation. So if it's a type 2, there are requirements for a type 2 variation, and just ensure that you submit all of those documents. And then please also ensure that you do look at the recently approved fees gazette, which has the new fees, so that we don't reject an application because there's been an incorrect fee that was submitted, or a proof of payment was not submitted. And we are also seeing that applicants use remittance advice, and finance doesn't approve of us submitting remittance advices as proof of payments. They want the proof of payment from the bank. But hopefully these are some of the things that will also be taken care of when the portal is fully functional. And then just ensure that the clean proposed PI and PL for clones and duplicates has the proprietary name, so that we don't reject this kind of applications at screening, because some of them you find that the only thing is that it's just this clean proposed PI and PL that doesn't have the proprietary name, and we reject it, whereas it could have proceeded to evaluation. And then, yeah, just aligning to the proprietary names guideline regarding the company identifiers, and then ensuring that the closing sequence with the currently approved PI and PILs is submitted within 5 working days. And this is also because we want to move to a position where applicants may not necessarily need to submit an approved, currently approved PI and PIL for their variations when they do submit new variations. But currently, if we are to allow a situation of that nature, you may find that we then struggle to proceed with evaluations because we can't access your currently approved PI and PILs, because even there is even a lag in time between the time applicants submit their approved PI and PILs to the repository. Thanks. Thanks, CEO.
Dr. Tumi, do you want me to take some questions?
Tammy, if you may, please. I know that Tumi's just busy switching connection.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will, thank you. Thank you, Luleka. And I mean, industry would note that this is a new set of data, new presentation, and this is the type of feedback we do want to provide to industry in various areas within our units. So there is just a trending of what is going on in some of the rejections, and we can improve the way between SAHPRA and industry. There is a question here. It would be beneficial for SAHPRA to consider organizing a reliance workshop, as the current reliance guideline may be subject to misinterpretation. You're quite right. It is something that we are looking at and we have discussed internally. But give us an opportunity within the next quarter. We want to pull out the timelines for the reliance, as well as look at the rejections at screening, or maybe the challenges the units have within the pre-reg and within post-reg when it comes to reliance. And then we would like to have such a workshop. We will keep the industry posted on something like that, but it is on our radar. There is another question. I don't think I understand this, but Pratibha, it's probably for you and Christelna. Would there be a possibility to remove or have a timeline for deregistration of an e-submission without the creation of an ECTD, provided no further updates are needed to the existing dossier? I think I've read that correctly.
Yeah, sorry, Tammy, thanks. I'm responding in the Q&A. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. And there's a corresponding question. When can we expect responses to the product cancellations? Thank you very much, Pratibha. You've answered that. And there's a question on fast track that's also been answered. There's a question here. Would it be possible to have a reliance screening round of queries to prevent reliance submissions automatically going to full review and for the industry to learn from the mistakes? The industry is not currently learning from their mistakes. We only find out the submission is moved to full review when we receive queries from the various units. Pratibha, do you want to come in there on that for me? Hello, Pratibha.
Hey,
Can
sorry,
anyone-
Tammy, I lost connection there. Which question is it?
It's a question here by Franz Lombard. Would it be possible to have a reliance screening round of queries to prevent reliance submissions automatically going to full review and for industry to learn from mistakes?
That's already been done. That is already being done. So
Yeah.
the expectation is that all the reliance requirements are met as per the reliance guidelines.
Yeah.
If they are not being met, the screening query will go out requesting that the applicant meet those requirements.
Okay, thanks. Franz, you can
Before
clarify
any
your
rejection.
question.
Yeah, to me,
Sorry.
maybe just to also add on to that, it really is quite important that before the applicant submit and select reliance application, that we just make sure from an applicant perspective, we have satisfied ourselves that our application actually does meet the criteria as per the guideline. So we would continue to strongly encourage that. And alternately, as Pratibha says, we will respond with a query, but it's a one-round response to either correct the deficiencies. Otherwise, it needs to be resubmitted. I think that should satisfy Franz's question, unless there's something else that we were missing.
Okay, Franz can maybe clarify on the chat. Thank you. I want to take one or two more questions related to Luleka's section. Luleka, when updating a South African innovator PI to align with the EU SMPC, we are aware that changes to the dosing instructions in the section Pathology and Method of Admin would be regarded as a type 2 variation. However, in the case where we are adding only general statements to the section Pathology and Method, we require clarification on what code to use. As these statements are important for the safe use of medicine and these should be considered type 1.
Should I respond, Chair?
Yes, please. Thank you. Go ahead.
So we have not made exceptions for changes in the under section 4.2, and that's because we noted that when we then make those exceptions, then applicants try and sneak in certain information. So that's why we insist that any change to section 4.2 should be a type 2 variation.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Luleka. I'll take one more. Will an updated SAHPRA standardized text guideline be provided, or should foreign text be used for the current required information? You can go ahead, Luleka.
The standardized text guideline is a pain, but we are trying to standardize certain. We are trying to update it because I think the request has been that we shouldn't move away from it, although it's taking time because the information that we require for the update of the standardized text also is reliant on pharmacovigilance as well. So, but we are working on updating the standardized text guideline.
Okay, thank you, Luleka. There's more questions related to clinical post-reg in the chat if you can answer so long. I'll go on to 3.2 on phenylephrine and the lack of effectiveness of oral PrEPs as a nasal decongestant. So in July 2024, SAHPRA requested for data regarding to this lack of efficacy for orally administered phenylephrine. Within the 90 days, there was not sufficient information that was provided, and it was reviewed by our committee. So therefore, a second communication went out in January this year, requesting that the HCRs provide feedback by 31st of March 2025. In that period, there were lots of discussions between applicants and representatives from industry and SAHPRA requesting for an extension in the timeline to align with the US FDA request for information. And the committee, together with the unit and ourselves, we have considered this and will be granting industry a 6 months extension for the submission of this data. We will submit circulate a formal communication on this within the next week at least. But I trust that industry is satisfied with a 6 months extension. Thank you. I'll pause on the phenylephrine. Is Dr. Tumi back?
Yes, I am, and I can see the Q&A now because I'm in front of my computer. Happy to give you a bit of a break, Tammy.
Thanks.
Great. Let me see. I'm not seeing any specific questions for now. If they come, I think we can get back to them. Unless if there's anything you're seeing on your side, because they're busy updating on my side.
Not yet, but Luleka's answering the clinical, and I'll continue with if there's phenylephrine specific. We had Kamusi on the agenda, Dr. Tumi. I'm not sure if he joined the call yet.
Let me just see. Yes, Kamusi, are you able to hear us?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can hear you, CEO and my CRO. Apology, the meeting it takes a bit long on the other side.
All right, I think we can then move to you, Kamusi. Thank you.
Thanks, CEO. Let me just share the slide. Please, colleagues, just indicate if you can see my slide.
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you very much. I don't know if there was any discussion before this presentation around the reliance approach for SAHPRA, but what we wanted to communicate is just some challenges that we are encountering with regard to the applications that we're receiving, where the applicant would have indicated that they want the reliance approach to be followed. yes, indeed, SAHPRA supports the reliance on reports from the trusted regulatory authorities, and this is to streamline our registration process. And I think we've received probably a few consents from our from the applicants that is indicated that when we are rejecting the applications for reliant processes, mostly is due to non-compliance with our guidelines. And we have identified some of the key areas of non-compliance, and I thought we should highlight them here with our colleagues from the industry, wherein most of the non-compliance issues are where the applicant is submitting the public assessment report instead of submitting the full unredacted reports. An example would be the day 80 to the final of the review from the other regulatory authorities. And at times, even the variations that were submitted, an example would be the variation that were submitted to IMA, and their responses report would not have been shared with the SAHPRA. And that's you'll find that we will reject, and our rejection has always been saying, if we don't get the relevant unredacted reports, that means the application will proceed to full review. And at times, we also have issues that are related to the incomplete abridged review templates that we have shared with the applicant for the relevant information to be shared, so that this information can facilitate the review of the application. Also on module 3.2.S.4, you'll find that the applicant has not really shared with us the certificate of analysis for the final product and also for the active biological substance manufacturers. And these non-compliance are mostly the reasons why we will reject or will subject the application to full assessment. What we are expecting from the reliance submission is that the applicant should share with us the full unredacted assessment report from all the regulatory authorities that we have listed on our reliance guidelines. And this should also include the regulatory history. History must include all the milestones report from the assessment from the other regulatory authorities that we align ourselves with. And at times, this may also include the meeting summaries and final approvals. So these are the information that we are expected. And if the colleagues can also consult our reliance guidelines, on table 2, we've also listed the different types of documentations that we require from the applicant, whether they're submitting an application that is where we are expected to rely on TGA. We've also listed the type of information and the documents that we require. Same goes for IMA and other regulatory authorities. And of course, just when I joined, I heard the concern that was also raised by the applicants. So the consequences of our non-compliance, it means we reject this reliance pathway, and the applicants will be subjected to full review pathways. And of course, when there's a non-compliance with respect to the reports that will not have been submitted, this also causes delays in our registration timelines. And the inefficient use of both applicant and regulatory resources is also the consequence of the reports that are not really compliance and ineligibility to leverage the abbreviated review timelines, wherein if we've got all the relevant documentations, we can subject the applications to the abbreviated review timelines, which will also contribute to shorter timelines for the registration of the well-needed biological medicines if we receive the relevant compliance documentations. We have the proposed solutions for what could be an approach that we should take between us as SAHPRA and also the applicant, so that these issues are addressed and we could agree on a way forward and the approach that is feasible, that accommodate both SAHPRA and also the applicants, that we want to conduct what will be the SAHPRA-led workshop on reliance pathway compliance, so that we can discuss what is expected, and if there are challenges, we can try and then resolve them at the workshop, and the relevant recommendation from the workshop will be what will be sent back to SAHPRA and executive for consideration. As it is currently, what we have identified to be working smoothly, it's the WHO collaborative registration procedures. And why I'm giving this as an example is because through this collaborative registration procedure, we have got access to all the documentation and the reports. And this also fast track and facilitate our process of review. And then therefore, we may need to adopt the same approach that is followed through the WHO collaborative registration procedure, which makes it even an efficient approaches for the regulator. And this is just an example of the correct and incorrect submissions. The incorrect one is where the applicant submit the publicly available EMA reports, summaries that are without attachment, and the no variation responses or letters or outcome are also shared with the regulator. And the correct ones are as clearly stipulated on our guidelines. The requirements for EMA, requirements for Swissmedics, requirement for Health Canada, requirement for EMA. So that's what we've stipulated clearly on our guidelines in terms of what we require. And also the relevant hyperlinks that should also be included on our template. Our conclusion and way forward is that the applicant must follow the specific document requirement for each regulatory authorities that we have listed on our guidelines. Yes, reliance submission is a privilege, and it's not an alternative for incomplete dossier. What we require is that we should get an incomplete, not an incomplete dossier. We want a complete dossier for us to be able to do our work properly. And the immediate steps that we've taken is that we will be launching this workshop. And again, during this workshop, we'll discuss our checklist and also our guidelines effectively. And if there are areas that need to be improved, we will do so immediately during the workshop, so that the workshop can also capture the recommendations and the proposed way forward. And I think that's the summation of my high-level challenges that are related to the biological medicines reliance applications. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you so much, Kamusi. Colleagues, I just want to stress the points that Kamusi and Luleka were making, really, to say, if we want reliance and these processes we have in place to work, we have to make sure that we collaborate and that there is compliance with our requirements and our guidelines, because it takes double the time then for us to be going back and forth on these matters that are either not submitted in full as per our requirements, as Kamusi says here. So please, colleagues, we need to work together here. If you don't do your part, we will not be able to do our part. I have asked the team to track this regularly for me, so that I can see where the gaps are, because I am putting pressure on them to apply reliance, etc. But if these are the types of submissions that they're dealing with, it renders this reliance process ineffective for us. So please, I would like again, Tammy, that these discussions are held at the various working groups, so that there is alignment on what our expectations are, please. Okay, thank you. I see there's some comments that the teams have been responding to. I don't see anything specific for Kamusi yet. Kamusi does need to step off for another meeting. So if anyone has a question for biologicals, please just pop it into the Q&A. I just want to see, is there anything for Kamusi here?
I do see one, Chair. Can I go ahead?
Yes, please. Which one is it?
It's a reliance query for type 1B variations approved by the RRA. The MAH does not always receive an assessment report, only approval letters. Will the reliance code BRB still be relevant if no assessment report was received from the RRA? Kamusi, can you assist, please?
Yeah, thanks, CRO. I think that's a bit of a challenge for now, because what we'll expect is that we'll need the report from the RRAs. Otherwise, that means although it's a type 1A, that still be subjected to the full review internally for relevant compliance with our guidelines. But if there's a report submitted, yes, that will also be considered, and also that will also facilitate the review process. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Dr. Tumi, I'd like to take another question here on the US FDA and the unredacted reports.
Sorry,
only-
Tammy.
Yes.
It's Sandy. I'm sorry for interjecting. This
yes.
question is actually for quality. The BRB code is for quality. Reliance. Yes, and if you do not have assessment reports, then we will not be allowing the type 1B or a type 1A to go through reliance. And you still provide us with the approval letter, and we will not be facilitating reliance for these without reports. Thanks.
Thank you, Sandy. The question, given that the US FDA shares unredacted assessment reports only with the relevant health authority and not directly with applicants, has SAHPRA faced any challenges in obtaining these, and have there been delays? Yes, they have. With what is happening with the US FDA now, we have not been able to access the reports. However, the applications coming through using the US FDA's reliance is literally a handful on new products. Thanks. I'll pause there, Chair.
Thank you. And yeah, I mean, even prior to these developments with the FDA, we have generally struggled with the US FDA, and we had a contact point within the agency and even at SAHPRA, but for some reason we certainly struggle with them. Not so much European Medicine Agency, but certainly FDA. Okay, so if your principals on that side can assist, that would be great. Okay, in the interest of time, I'm just checking how much time we still have. Can I ask that we proceed? We've got about just under 2 hours left. Kristalna, yes, you want to comment?
Chair, yes, I was just requesting an opportunity also to then just very briefly cover the digitalization update. I also need to just start the preparations for the NDS web webinar that we are also having at 11:30. I just wanted to make sure that there is an opportunity for me to present the digitalization update before I have to step off. Thanks.
Do you want to do that now before we get into that?
Yeah, definitely, I can do that.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Thanks. Mokona, I will just share my screen. I'm just waiting for the presentation to load, then we can get started. Thank you. Right, I trust everybody can see the screen. So yeah, I think just briefly, just to give an update in terms of the digital transformation, just some of the software support systems that we are deploying at SAHPRA. And also just very briefly to touch on the new strategic initiative, which relates then to artificial intelligence in regulatory. So I think for current digital projects, the DocuBridge tool that was deployed April of last year, we've done some further configuration updates, just internal workflows and adjustments, sequence statuses, document management workflows that we are doing. And we have also the medical device and IVD process that's currently in feasibility study that's also being onboarded onto the DocuBridge system. And we hope to start consultations and updates for veterinary to take the CTD submissions in for veterinary products from Q4 onwards. And then for complementary medicines, this is to be confirmed in line with the roadmap that the unit will publish. Then from an engagement hub perspective, we have got the first 2 business processes for HPA in Section 21 that we started with 1 April. And we'll further start getting into putting in place now reporting and dashboarding for the business processes that is being digitalized. And this primarily will be for the internal users to also assist us with streamlining operational processes. We still need to do the finance integration. So all of the proof of payments and the payments processes that we now have started, that also then will be integrated into our Sage system internally. And for the other business processes that we will onboard, we will have unit by unit engagements for the respective processes. Through that, we'll also reach out to the different industry stakeholders and also invite participants in some of those discussions as we then document the business blueprints when we start designing the forms and the workflows. Other current digital projects, this is more internal, but as you can see from a digitalization perspective, we've been keeping busy. So there's some activity on Sage where we've got our procurement processes and evaluated claims that have gone live. We have got also an evaluation management tool, as well as a risk management tool that was deployed, and this to support our internal operations from a support units perspective. Then for today, as I mentioned, we are taking live also the NDS web or the NDS application system, and this geared to support the applications processes and approvals for import-export permits for controlled substances and narcotics. These are the categories of products that would be coming through this particular mechanism. We did complete the configurations and some training internally with the UN Office of Drugs and Crime over August 2024 through to Feb 2025. And we were also able to do a focus group testing session with applicants in that second week of Feb. So for March, we were basically finalizing our internal testing. In April, the colleagues now have spent some time just to prepare that guidance document, which will also be shared with industry a bit later this week. And for today, the webinar, just to go through the process of user account registration. And effectively then today, we can start receiving those account registrations on the NDS system. And from there, also the applications process can go live, but the expectation is that by the 1st of June that we start taking in our applications online. So a few weeks to play around with the system, become more familiar with it, and also once ready to start submitting those applications. For clinical trials, we are also completing the developments now for the clinical trials application process that will also be running through the engagement hub. So we've got the CTF 1, 2, 3, and the biostudy application management. Within this, there is also different modules. So internally to support our unit, clinical trials committee meeting module, a review module, as well as the management of the clinical trials registry. We also will be looking with clinical trials at different opportunities to use artificial intelligence to also assist our reviewers with screening aspects. As we mentioned, or as I will mention now, one of the key things that we're also busy with now in terms of the new AI model that is being built is for technical screening, but this more so for new product applications. So we will be scheduling a webinar in July just to launch the clinical trials module, and that will then also go live during July. Prior to that, we'll do a round of testing with some of our clinical research organizations and some of our external experts again now in June, once the internal unit testing has been completed on the developed module. Just as a brief indication of what our design screens for clinical trials look like, a lot of the applicants already then familiar with the registration screens. Basically from an applications process, I think the look and feel would look and feel quite similar to what we have for health products applications and section 21. So here, obviously just stepping through the different forms or options to apply for. So for new CTF1, for amendments, we've got the other options. And then we also have the ability to then submit those progress reports, etc. Online. So again, just very similar. This one probably more so to the section 21 process, the online application forms with the different sections, and also just the requirements for uploading certain substantiating documents, etc. The payment advice generation process, which I think also a lot of the industry members and the stakeholders are now familiar with. And then, of course, also the dashboard that is available then for the respective applicants so that they can track and manage their submissions. Then, in terms of the artificial intelligence project that we mentioned, or the strategies that's being pursued at the moment, so I think, yeah, probably also then just to align again on what actually artificial intelligence means, and this specifically more so from a SAHPRA perspective, we're looking at generative artificial intelligence, not narrow artificial intelligence. We do have a component of that already running from a narrow AI perspective through DocuBridge, doing then for us the document validations. And then also facilitating that validation responses in an automated way. But with generative AI, obviously then using the artificial intelligence to assist us to assess the ECTD submissions. And then based on the different rules and prompts that we set up to check for technical compliance, compliance against the guidelines, compliance against the regulations, to ensure also that the dossiers that we receive are comprehensive and that they are complete and that they meet all the requirements. And technical screening, because we want to ensure that this particular process within the overall medicine registration process can be managed and handled very efficiently, and we can start improving turnaround times in this particular area. And then I think the next one is just maybe just a reflection on why we are looking at artificial intelligence now. So certainly with where we are now and at the rate that artificial intelligence is actually evolving, it is at a point where large language models now can meaningfully support regulatory functions. And we've had some good discussions and good presentations from the colleagues at the MHRA. also from the the Sweden Medicines Product Authority, and we hope to have some engagements with US FDA soon. Most of these agencies have between 3 and 6 AI models or AI algorithms running, which they use sometimes in an externally facing way, sometimes in an internal facing way. And I think for us as well, it's been very insightful to see how they've gone about setting these models up, the governance structures around that, and also the processes that we are looking at even internally in terms of validating these to ensure that we've got good quality results that then support our evaluators during the process. Think, let me skip through that one. So I think, yeah, some of the benefits that we are looking at, and obviously this has also come out of some of the discussions at various fora, is for us to streamline dossier preparation. So this typically is where our technical screening tool can also aid applicants. Once we expose that externally, you would also be able to use that functionality to then check compliance before that final submission comes through. Assisting then with some of the administrative components, this should also enable us to have a faster regulatory review process. As I said, our first intervention is targeted towards technical screening to help support our technical screening team to turn those applications around a lot faster than what we are able to do manually at the moment. Also, from the different proof of concepts that we've been busy with, we understand that artificial intelligence can in fact also support us to improve data quality and consistency in terms of the regulatory review processes. And from the data and the insights that can be derived, also how artificial intelligence can support us with decision making. I think the other nice aspect is with the other 5 national regulatory authorities on the continent that is busy participating in a process along with SAHPRA to look at how the African NRAs can actually use artificial intelligence at an agency level to improve operational efficiencies. This also is creating for us a new and unique collaboration mechanism. And hopefully over time, as AI gets adopted more widely within regulatory space, this also will then enable us to more efficiently and more transparently communicate not only with our stakeholders, but also with ARMA and potentially with other NRAs. Right. I think, yeah, sorry, I've mentioned now just the 6 NRAs on the continent that's busy working on different proof of concepts. And as I've mentioned, SAHPRA is actually also busy working on a technical screening tool and looking at how we can further scale out the base foundation of this to use in other use cases that might assist us to improve operational efficiencies. The POCs or the tools. So basically we have done 2 proof of concepts. The one proof of concept is targeted at creating a risk stratification or a assisted structured assessment platform that will assist our PEM unit. And there's been some good engagements, as you can see, that we are busy with, and some further refinements based on the pilot that we've done. We also, as I mentioned, very engaged at the moment in terms of getting our first version of the technical screening tool complete. And we hope also to use the foundational framework with the assisted structured assessment tool to support BABE review and reviewers in terms of their processes, their business processes. And that, yeah, just a very brief overview of all of the digitalization components that we are busy with. But yeah, certainly, as you can see, quite a busy space for us at the moment. And yeah, we hope to keep you up to date and continue then with this journey. It's very exciting for all of us here at SAHPRA, and we can already start seeing some of the benefits being unlocked in certain of the areas where time savings are achieved at the moment. Thanks.
Thank you, Christina. We'll take some questions for you before you step off. So there's a few. Well, no, there's one for now. Let me read it out for you. For challenges related to the portal, payment requests continue to lag resolution. Locked tickets have not been acknowledged and no receipt confirmations or ticket numbers have been provided. How can we verify that these requests have been received and are being processed? And then the second part says, how should we proceed with necessary corrections for applications submitted before the introduction of the save draft feature, as they are not appearing under applications? Furthermore, the export application option, which was communicated via the portal on the 10th of May, is not visible on the portal dashboard. Do you want to speak to those, Christina? It's
Yeah,
the question,
certainly.
if you see questions, from Sue Ellen.
Thank you, Dr. Tumi. So I think in terms of the tickets that have been logged, as I've mentioned in the webinars and the engagements, we have received all of the tickets that have been logged. However, because there is quite a volume of tickets that we are working through, the team has now slowly started clearing some of the backlog that we have. So in as much as we may not yet have responded on your particular email, this is something that the units or specifically HPA and then the support team is busy with. So we will be responding to those ones individually to assist the applicants. If we can please just request your indulgence to allow us to work through these. We are working from the oldest to the newest. Also with regards to the request for corrections, so that that should be done if you've accidentally saved the wrong things when you move the legacy applications to application manager, that should then be corrected through the export functionality. I'm not sure if you have logged a support request maybe for this particular issue. But if you are struggling to use the export function for correcting then submissions which has already moved into the applications manager screen or tab, I would ask please if you can just send that support request. Then we did mention on Friday that the export function is only linked to the organization admin profile. So if you are just loaded as a organization user, you would not have that function in your menu. And we did indicate that if there is more than one organization admin user per organization account, then obviously one or more or both the org admins would have access to that particular function or module. So internally, it would then be up to the organization to go and do a role change. So if you're currently a user, you need to be changed by your organization admin to also be an org admin to access that. Thanks. Thanks, Dr. Tumi.
Perfect. Thank you, Christina. There's, I think, one more. When should the medical devices be registered on the portal? We'll take that last question. There aren't any others, and then we'll release you and move to that.
Thank you, Dr. Tumi. So medical devices, because where we are at the moment with medical device registration, it is only at a point where the unit is still busy with the feasibility study. So we're running that pilot with the applicants that responded to the expression of interest, but that is running through the FTP submission process. And once that pilot or feasibility study actually has been concluded, we will then proceed to do some refinements in terms of the guidelines and the processes, reshare that again with applicants, and then we will start a process of calling up certain products then for registration. At that time, we will then take those submissions in through the SAHPRA portal. But this, again, I really do not have line of sight of what the medical devices unit has got in mind from a timeline perspective. But I do believe that roadmap has been shared, and the timelines for taking applications in on the portal will then be aligned with when the unit actually is starting that operationalization. So for now, there is no submissions for medical devices coming through the portal. The unit is only dealing with the feasibility applicants' submissions at this point, and I'm sure we'll communicate then in due time when we are ready to start taking in formal applications. Thank you, Dr. Tumi.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Okay. If you can respond to the other question, there's another question online. Oh, no, there isn't. Sorry, no, there isn't. It's the one from Suellen that you spoke to. That's fine. All right, thank you, Crystal. Now let's move to veterinary. Alice, please, over to you.
Thank you and good morning. I will project my presentation quickly. Okay, so today I am going to focus on certain burning issues, and I think before I even go into those burning issues, verbally, I will present to you what has been going right first in terms of harmonization initiatives in the veterinary medicines arena. We have our harmonization initiative in the SADC region, which at the moment is called the Veterinary Medicines Bona Initiative, and the countries there are Botswana, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Tanzania and Zambia are actively involved. And then we have Malawi and Namibia being observer members at the moment, but the rest of the SADC is actually invited to participate in the initiative. So our objective is to reduce the timelines for registration through application of reliance.
Alice. So you're still on slide 2 and it's not projecting. You need to be on slideshow and we're still seeing slide 2.
Is this one okay now?
I don't know if it's just me. Can industry confirm? What slide number should we be on?
Slide 2. Wait a minute. This is the first slide. Can you see the and then harmonization initiatives?
Yes, that's the slide you're on, but it's blank.
Yeah, this one is blank, but the next one, can you see this one with objectives and challenges?
Okay, many members are saying yes, so I think it's slow on my side, so please proceed.
Oh, okay. But industry can see, okay. So we intend to apply reliance and risk-based approaches in our review pathways through applications of VICH guidelines and make sure we harmonize our technical requirements. We also intend to utilize the limited resources we have in the region in terms of expertise and ensure that we have safe, efficacious, and good quality veterinary medicines within the region. In our pilot phase 1, we had received 8 applications. Unfortunately, 7 of those applications were so poor that even after requesting extensions, we have no choice but to reject them all. And only 1 went through to the evaluation stage and is now at query stage. Pilot phase 2 is still in progress. I'll talk to it later. So the challenges we have faced so far are in terms of the compliance with requirements. We realize that we need proper training of our industry in terms of the technical requirements or guidelines. And we also have another challenge, especially with what in South Africa we would call stock remedies. Most of these products are old medicines, and we still need to discuss and agree on the set of information that is acceptable to all regulatory authorities to support efficacy, especially for old medicines. So we were blessed and supported by the UK VMD, who actually sponsored our first joint assessment from 24 to 28 February this year. And we held that meeting in Lusaka in Zambia. It was attended by South Africa, Zambia, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Malawi, and Tanzania. And 3 new products were discussed. We did full technical screening together because in the first phase, we had realized that we used very different approaches to screening. Others did mini evaluations, others just, did a very short screening approach. And we thought we should harmonize that together. And we agreed on a specific technical screening template. And then during full quality evaluation, we also saw the discrepancies or differences, the differences between NRIs in terms of approach to evaluation. Although we were using the same template, we went into great detail in terms of quality, and we used that week for purposes of training all the assessors and harmonizing our templates, and also managed to do some peer review of the reports that were assessed by the evaluators. It was actually a very insightful and informative session because we began to understand each other and our backgrounds. We also realized that quite a number of NRAs have very new evaluators who also needed proper training. So the list of queries has now been sent out, and we are now focusing on development of guidelines and templates for registration of biologicals. We've received quite a number of requests on when we are starting to register vaccines and biologicals. So we are working on those guidelines, and the first expression of interest on biologicals for industry to submit, we think will be sometime in the second quarter. We still have to discuss the templates and guidelines with the industry. So in terms of regulation of antimicrobials in South Africa, I think in my last presentation, I had expressed that SAHPRA actually initiated this process. They proposed the transition of veterinary antimicrobials from OTC to prescription status, and also to limit the quantity of antimicrobials administered to prevent infection in healthy animals, and ensure that all use is performed with regulatory oversight in line with HOA recommendations. We had presented this problem statement to our SAHPRA board and also to Act 36, and we moved on to address our Ministerial Advisory Committee on this issue, and then finally the Minister of Health. We were glad that he stressed the urgency of this matter, and agreed that a meeting should be held with the Department of Agriculture. So on 7 March 2025, we had an interdepartmental meeting, which was held between SAHPRA, National Department of Health, and Department of Agriculture. I must say it was well attended by DDG and DGs from both departments. They were all in agreement that there's a public and animal health threat by us having over-the-counter antimicrobials being sold, and that there's need for regulatory oversight on veterinary antimicrobial use, and also the need to phase out OTC veterinary antimicrobials. So there was a recommendation for terms of references to be drawn up for this task team, which we have already done. So the objectives of the task team to establish a clear roadmap on how phasing out of OTC and microbials will be addressed, to review the current X 36 and 101, to make sure that we also identify the gaps and challenges in this current framework, and to draft a stakeholder engagement program so that we promote antimicrobial stewardship and reduce the risk of antimicrobial resistance. Obviously, if we are going to move any antimicrobials that are already registered with Act 36 to Act 101, there's need for us to engage with our pharmaceutical industry. There will be a lot of discussion on how this is going to be done and the requirements that they should meet for them to be registered or transferred to Act 101. And of course, ultimately, we need to propose these recommendations to draft these recommendations and present them to our principals. Something new which has also come up, as I see the CEO has been talking about substandard falsified products. We also have a similar problem with regards to veterinary products. And HOA has identified this to be a serious challenge in terms of animal health. And from 4 to 6 March 2025, a meeting or workshop was held in Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. And in that meeting, HOA created awareness on the impact and harm that these falsified products have in terms of AMR, treatment failure, and also failure of vaccination campaigns. Remember, vaccination is very important to prevent disease, especially in animals. I think it's one of the biggest tools that we use to prevent use of antimicrobials. And quite a number of these campaigns are failing due to, falsified vaccines or substandard vaccines. HOA then encouraged coordination between us as focal points of veterinary products and encouraged the regulatory authorities to ensure responsible use of veterinary products. They have a platform called VSafe, which receives notifications for all the substandard falsified veterinary products from member states. So one of the items on the agenda was to create awareness for this platform and how it can be used. And from this platform, HOA is going to inform and support member countries to facilitate the identification of substandard falsified products and their eventual removal from circulation. So this is an ongoing topic. We are right at the beginning of these discussions, and one of the recommendations we made in that meeting was that we should somehow work together with the WHO, since they were pioneers in this venture, and see how we can work together the way we handled antimicrobial resistance. So we'll see what happens next. The next harmonization initiative, which you are all aware of, we have VICH, which is the International Cooperation on Harmonization of Technical Requirements for Registration of Veterinary Medicinal Products. Similar to ICH on the human medicine side. We are quite involved there and participate in the following technical technical working groups: veterinary pharmacovigilance, the global reference dossier. For some reason, VICH had not adopted CTD the way ICH has been supporting CTD. However, they are coming up with something. We are part of the discussion group, and we'll see how this, works out in the future. We are also part of the BE BioStudy BioWaiver working group, and we are also involved in the stability of medicated premixes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alice. Let's just see if there's any questions for you. I'm not seeing specific questions, but if you could stick around, there's a few questions for Inspectorate. So Dion, if you and your team can just look at those. You see something's just come through now. So there's a question that Alice, is SAHPRA in active engagement with the state vet, particularly with ports?
Sorry, I'm trying to look at the questions as well.
It's a question from Nondimiso.
Okay, she says, is SAHPRA in active engagement with the state vet, particularly with respect to ports?
Ports. Nondimiso, if you could clarify your question, do you mean with respect to products that come through the ports? So maybe just clarify, then Alice can respond to it. Unless if you're able to decipher, Alice and wants to speak to it.
Okay, yeah, off late, off late we have started talking to state veterinarians through this AMRA project. It's really not a formal thing, but we are not, engaging with them. I think we should be engaging with these state veterinarians more, because what I've noticed from the queries that I've received is that sometimes, because they also deal with the ports, sometimes they see products and then they confiscate them and they don't know what to do with those products. So I think there is need for, more engagement with them so that they understand who they should contact when this happens. I think regulatory compliance should be involved in this discussion as well, because there are certain areas where our responsibilities overlap.
Okay, thank you, Alice, for that. Then there's a question. Sorry. Okay, no, I don't see anything else. That's fine. So just look out again on the portal for questions. Let's move to Kaiser in the interest of time.
Thanks, Chair. I have to check with CRO if she wants to take this, or can I go for it?
Kaiser, you can start so long. I'll come in after you. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Regarding the updates on regulations, as advised in the last meeting, the regulations are submitted to the Department of Health Legal Department for consideration and scrutiny. So that process is still ongoing, and there is some further engagement between SAHPRA and the Department of Health that I will allow the CRO to maybe can touch on.
Okay, thanks, Kaiser. So on the regulations, we do need a socioeconomic impact assessment, which is a SEAS, and that is required before we publish the regulations. That process has already started at the moment with the Department of Health, and we are engaging. I will just pause there, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
I'll take any questions on the chat.
All right, yeah, I'm not seeing anything immediate. All right. Was that all for Kaiser? And then let's move to item 6, another verbal update, or I don't know if Dion and Daphne have slides on the National Action Plan, please.
Sure. Dr. Daphne, the next one. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Dion. Good morning, everyone. You able to see my slides?
Yes, Daphne, but can you place in slide mode?
Is it okay?
Let's see me on the screen. Maybe switch screens.
Oh, okay, let me do that. Okay, in the meantime, let me speak in the interest of time. With regards to the pilot on the National Action Plan on fighting substandard and falsified medical products, we are technology will always take the
display settings, Daphne, on top. Say it again, go to display settings. Yeah, on top.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask? Okay. It's still not showing, right? Okay. Mukona and Ntokozo, you do have my slides, right? So help me present. So
Yes, let me try and navigate on my side.
okay, thank you. So as this has been presented before, the project, we are currently conducting a pilot with WHO on their handbook, draft handbook on National Action Plan on fighting substandards and falsified medical products. And this has been launched in terms of the project. The project was launched in fourth quarter last year to the stakeholders, and we have, you can go to the third slide, the one that says pilot of draft WHO handbook. And
just one sec, it's still loading on my side.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much. So at the moment, this is going very well. There has been, in terms of progress, it is going very well, and multiple stakeholders have been engaged on this. We have formalized we currently, let's go to the next slide. The next slide. Yeah, the objectives of the handbook from WHO are to provide the countries with a framework and tools to develop their own national action plan to prevent, detect, and respond to substandard and falsified medical products, and also to provide the national regulatory authorities to leverage on the competencies of all relevant stakeholders, policymakers, procurers, distributors, practitioners, patients, and consumers. Thirdly, to promote good governance among the multiple stakeholders in this interest, who are interested in this and who are responsible for regulatory oversight and who participate in combating these products. And lastly, to support the national regulatory authorities in achieving stable, integrated, and well-functioning regulatory systems specific to market surveillance and control and regulatory inspections. Next slide. And the determinants of success for member states, it will be like, they will be dependent on the political leadership, buy-in, and stakeholder partnership and technical cooperation across the sectors, and also investment in this area. Next slide. Where are we? So a number of you they are part of the this initiative, and so far we have had several engagement, and from SAHPRA side we have also presented this at various platforms, and we do have the steering committee. We've got 4 technical working groups. The intention is to ensure that we improve understanding and awareness of SFs at national, regional, and global level. to strengthen the evidence base through surveillance and improved reporting mechanisms of these substances, and increase information sharing to optimize the use of analytical insight to design and implement initiatives on fighting this. And lastly, to engage and coordinate among ourselves to strengthen and sustain systems that combat substandard and falsified medical products. And we started with defining the goals and strategic objectives. And in terms of risk, we have mapped the stakeholder groups, but also we are, as we were mapping this, we identified that there are still certain members who are key, like, for example, media. We're still working on ensuring that in our working groups, we will have media as well. And also currently we are also trying to establish governance and coordination mechanisms, because we need to have prioritized activities as resources are limited, in order to then mobilize the resources that we have and implement. We need to then monitor and evaluate the progress, and at the end analyze and assess the risk and the prevalence of this. We are currently having, next slide, and the next one. Okay, so currently the National Action Plan has got a steering committee. However, we have not formally, because this is an interministerial, and not only interministerial, it's government, non-government, private sector, and interest groups involvement when we say stakeholders, and therefore we had to, following the identification and appointment had to also take place, which therefore we had to follow the correct channels. So through the National Department of Health, there has been progress in that regard, although the work has been continuing, but formalization in terms of the appointments. So the appointments, nominations and appointment are currently in progress, where some appointment will come from the Department of Health, and then some will come from SAHPRA's side. So some, you would have seen the appointment, the invitations to the meetings, and soon the relevant people will be receiving from the National Department of Health a formal communication. Meetings have been scheduled and have been very well attended. So progress in this regard is going well. However, since the WHO is the lead in this, we have a consultant from WHO who unfortunately couldn't continue, but there will be appointment of a new consultant. But we are working with the WHO to make sure that this work is continuing. So these are the 4 working groups: the law enforcement working group, the supply chain working group, the healthcare infrastructure working group, the education and awareness working group. Where are we? Is that we this working group, we do have a WhatsApp group for these 4 working groups with the chairpersons having appointed, but as I'm saying that the formalization is still in progress, although the work is being done, and we are hoping that before end of March the formal appointments would have taken place. But the work, what we appreciate is that all the stakeholders from relevant industries or areas are very actively participating. We do get the inputs on how this can work, because currently we are working on operational plan and costing. Next slide. Are working on the operational plan. There is a draft and also the draft costing. And we will be scheduling meetings in the next coming 2 weeks. We should have a meeting. I think also what the long Easter holiday as well affected our progress together with the WHO consultants' absence. But we believe we are on the right track. Next slide. So in terms of the next steps, it's ensuring that we have an operational plan in place and continue our workshops, and then the workshop to review our monitoring and evaluation framework, and eventually have the high-level validation meeting with the Minister of Health, and followed by the sensitization workshop or meeting with the general public, and then launch this. So in terms of the timelines, we are for the launch, we hope that by August, September, the launching of the National Action Plan would happen. And this is it's an initiative that is expected to be a permanent structure with time, just to ensure that we prevent, detect, and respond to substandard and falsified medical products in a coordinated and structured manner, having governance in that regard going forward, because we have realized that the commitment is not only from the regulator, but it's from all the people who are affected. So having those workshops, we realize that regardless of the limited resources, but there is that interest and commitment from all sides. That is the update. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Daphne, for that. Just looking at the questions. Okay, so there's questions for Kaiser. Kaiser, please make sure that you respond to these. I see, yes, they're responded to. Definitely no immediate questions for now. I'm sure they will come at a later stage. And please look at the chat.
Thank you.
Mukona, let's just see the agenda. Who follows next? All right, thank you. So we'll then hand over to Dimakatso. It's also a verbal update, understand?
Good morning. Yes, CEO, it will be myself. I will firstly update on the medical device regulation version 2, where about it is. The last meeting I've indicated that it was with our legal. Our legal team went through the document, then they had some comments on it. Then it was brought back to the unit, and we worked on it together with our medical device committee, expert committee. And then they requested that we bring it afterwards. So we then took it early this year to our legal committee to review all the comments that we have addressed it as they have indicated. And now it's on the stage of it being presented to EXCO. And once it's presented to the next EXCO, then the outcome of the discussion will take that into consideration. And then based on that, responses will then submit to the National Department of Health. The regulation will be attached with or included in the regulation that we submit will be also the responses that we have given to the comments that we have received from the public comments that we have received. What we did, we added also the responses, and that will be shared with the national. Update on the memo. On the feasibility study, sorry, I'm looking at something just came in now, is that I will speak to the medical device registration roadmap at a high level. So for the feasibility study, it was a voluntary expression of interest that was published. And then from that, we have 15 organizations that are participating now. And out of that, we received 22 products for consideration for the feasibility study. 15 of them are HIV and 7 of them are TB. And we will be working together with our radiation control unit to review, evaluate these products, because some of them are X-ray. So this process actually is going to assist us in how will we process a medical device that is radiation emitting as well as it's just a generic medical device. So this assists us with streamlining. Where we are at now, ongoing and output, we have initiated processes, SOPs, for reviewing of, because this is the initial step for product registration for medical device. So we are looking at the screening of the technical screening of product as it comes, and also technical review and evaluation, and working together with IT in updating processes as we receive the product that are submitted via the FTP. And we are also looking at, we published the guidelines when we were publishing the expression of interest. So as we go along and also engaging the volunteers on some of the areas that they are challenges that they are facing, then we update the guidelines as we go along. So to date, we have already one product that has served through our regulatory committee and registration committee, and we looked at how long did it take us to evaluate this document since we have received it. It took the unit 19 working days, and I'll explain that the other ones why it took longer. So the reason why this product took 19 working days is that we used this as a first product that we have received, reviewed it against the table of content, and we are using it as well as training. So there was too much focus on this particular product because we're using it as for training purpose, as well as, because it's the first time, and also cleaning up our SOP. As I think the COO has spoken about involvement of the medical device through the feasibility study on receiving our technical dossier through the FTP, as well as ensuring that we transfer the information into Doggy Bridge. So this is still ongoing, and this was one of the reasons why we're doing the feasibility study, is to ensure that towards the end, we have an online system that we'll use. So at the current moment, we are using this process to see how it will come out, and it helps us to clean it up for medical device when we start product registration. And where we are at the moment, we have 3 products that we just presented to our registration committee, and then it has to go through approval process through the abnormal approval process. So this product now, as I indicated, that the first product, we used it as a testing or as for training purpose of other technical officers. The 3 other products, then it was they were allocated to the team, and this is through Reliance, because we received them through the product are coming from organizations. From products that are approved by NRAs that we align with and using Reliance. So when we're looking at these 3 products, the average of finalizing the process from the technical side was between 28 to 30 working days. And also until presenting at the regulatory compliance. So the only step that is left is for us to take it through the process of now approval through various meetings. So when we're looking at it, the average of us, and we'll look at the other remaining 13 product. If it will, I know 13, about 17 product that we still need to process if the timeline is around 40 working days or more. And this will assist us then. One of the outcome is that the timeline for Reliance, from a Reliance perspective, how long it takes for the team to review the technical dossier. So then this will be the outcome of one of the outcome of the process. What we have also picked up is that we, from local manufacturers as well, we're involving local manufacturers. We didn't receive a lot of application, so we will be publishing an expression of interest between now and second week of June for only local manufacturers, but on the same product, same GMD and codes and everything, except that it must be local manufacturer of the particular product as you look at the initial expression of interest. And with this process, we want to, we as SAHPRA, we want to be a scheme owner. If you're looking at how the EU model is, EU, the regulator, they are the scheme owner, meaning that
when the conformity assessment body that are based in South Africa, or even outside of South Africa, they know when they review the technical dossier, there are certain areas that are specific to the regulator. So we have started this communication with SANAS, which is the one that is responsible in the country as an institution to support us on that. So we have embarked on that. So the outcome will be us being the scheme owner and also supporting local conformity assessment bodies so that they can be accredited by SANAS and be able to do product technical evaluation. So this process is still at its infancy. We just had a meeting this week with SANAS regarding this. And one of the other things that is ongoing, especially for the volunteers, is that our IT is working with us to do a tracker whereby they can also see, because as I'm saying, we are trying a lot of stuff. It's a new area for us, product tracker, so that they can see the face of the application as it moves, so that they can see it from their side external. So those are the things that we are doing trial and error on. So in the coming between June and September, we will be focusing on other product, because then other organizations received queries. So it's about 4 that we'll focus on between now and September, and as others we receive queries, and if others are working after the review of the team. I think this is the update for the feasibility study as to where we are now. And when you hear what I'm giving out on the expected output, the outcome of the feasibility study will be then taken into the roadmap for product registration. And when you're looking at the high level, the outcome will be towards the call-out plan for medical device, because we will know, from us, we will know how long it takes us to do reliance review, and also for full product review, if it's a local manufactured, how long does the cap take? So those are, we are in very close proximity and contact with the conformity assessment bodies. We have 2 that are actually supporting us in this process. So we will be looking at the fees. I think we have communicated the fees. For us to be able to do product registration, we must finalize our fees. Another thing that we are doing behind the scene is the SAHPRA process for the fees, so that when we publish the fees, we also have the report. And that will feed into the final roadmap, which we will share. So there's a lot of background work that is happening at the moment. And then once we have identified all the activities that we need to do to finalize towards product call-up, then we will definitely share. But those are the activities that we are doing. The feasibility study leading to a clear timelines, and also what product will we be calling out first. So for example, we know that it will be first human medical device and IVDs, and then we'll look into veterinary MDs and IVDs later on. Those are the approach, and the high risk product will come obviously first, but we will definitely publish and communicate maybe in the next meeting where we are at and how far we are towards finalizing the roadmap. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Dimakato.
Sorry, Dr. Vitibelo. Sorry, I apologize, Chair. Yesterday, when we were in the captains of the industry, there was a communication, which actually we are the one, we requested the information regarding the ISO 13485. In our RTF medical device meeting, I requested that the colleagues to please share the list of queries, because they indicated that there were a lot of questions from their associate members. So we requested that information. We only received it yesterday after the meetings around just before 4 o'clock. So we looked at the document, and if the industry can give us an opportunity to review them, the queries that they have shared, and also internally, if we need to consult with our expert committee or also legal based on the queries on the table, then we will share a comprehensive response in writing, hopefully based on availability by next week. But I'll just say initial response will be next week. Any changes will be spoken to Sarah from the committee. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, yeah, we had lengthy discussions at the meeting yesterday, but there are some questions here. The The first one, Dimakatso, it says, it's from Denise, for medical devices. This is a lot of information to provide without slides. Please can presentations to be provided. We certainly can do that for the next meeting. Is that okay, Dimakatso?
Okay, for the feasibility study, I did a one-slide presentation. I can share with our communication. It's okay.
If you can share with comms. So we've got slides, we'll share them then with comms, and so you will receive them. And then for the next meeting, I think I agree, it's a lot shared, so just quick slides would help. I'm not seeing any other comment, so stick around. There may be a few questions on the Q&A. Okay. Yes, okay. Then if there aren't any questions, I'll give a quick update on the local manufacturing policy, which we also touched on yesterday. Just to say that it is in progress. We've taken it to our board. They have asked us to look at some elements of that and then bring it to them. So we do expect that in the next few months or so, we should be able to publish it for implementation. They are in support of the principle. There was just some detail that they wanted us to just clean up. And then before I give to Dion to speak to regulations on ports of entry, if I could speak to Regulation 42, to say that it is being currently reviewed by the legal department of the Ministry of Health, and we are pushing them to finalize it quite quickly. So we'll continue to follow up and we'll give feedback in the various fora. Let me hand over to Dion to comment on 8.2, because I would like for us to wrap up the agenda and open up the meeting for discussions.
Thank you, Dr. Tumi. Is my sound okay now?
Your sound is bad. Do you want to connect with your phone, maybe?
Okay, let me try that.
Okay. While Dion does that, can you just scroll down? Mukona, is Shamli here to speak to section 21? Can someone confirm if Shamli's here?
She's not here, Theo.
Shamli doesn't.
She is here.
She is here. Don't know if she can hear us.
Can someone just send her a note? Okay. Dion, let's see. Have you managed to rejoin? Just scroll down, Mukona. Let's see what's going to come after section 21. I think that's the end.
Hello, can you hear me now?
That's a lot clearer. Do you want to talk to the ports? And then in the meantime, if we can just get Shamli active on the call, please. Over to you, Dion.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tumi. So just to inform the industry that SAHPRA is in the process of proposing amendments to the minister in terms of Regulation 6. Regulation 6 basically tells us how we regulate ports of entry in terms of where you can import medicines or scheduled substances. And the ports will remain the same for the ones that we currently have. So, for example, Cape Town International ANC, PE ANC, King Shaka ANC, as well as OR Tambo. The major change that SAHPRA is proposing is that we're going to propose that there be one border post with each of our neighbors or our neighboring countries, such as Zimbabwe, Namibia, Botswana, Lesotho, Mozambique, and Eswatini, that we also look at opening up that ports for import of medicines, and that basically is the change that we're making to Regulation 6. That change is with the legal department, with the National Department of Health, and I assume it will go out for comment. But just to inform the industry that that is the intention, to add those additional ports. There will be conditions around the additional ports that we are adding, but that will also be subject to the final regulation that gets published and gazetted. Thank you, Dr. Tumi.
Okay, thank you, Dion. Okay, so there's some quick comments for you, Dimakatso. And the team, if you could just look at those. Let me just check. Do we have Shamli?
Yes, she is online.
She's online, but she was struggling to connect, Chair. She said she'll connect with her phone. She was trying, I mean, struggling to unmute, sorry.
Okay, so let's do this, Dokoto. Let's, excuse me. Let's open up the platform then for the Q&A the next few minutes. We can use the remaining 30 minutes for that. And colleagues, if you've got questions, please do raise your hand and we'll take a few at a time. And let me know when Shamli's sorted, we can pause and have her comment. Okay, I'm sure there'll be a lot of interest. Oh yeah, great. Shamli, can you hear us?
Hi, Chair. Hi, everyone. So in terms of the update on Section 21, we had gone live with our portal on the 1st of April, and there were a few glitches, but thanks to the applicants who were
We've lost you, Shamli. Okay, can someone just let her know that you're muted actually? I don't know if you pressed something.
Chair, are you able to hear me now?
Yes, you muted yourself. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. So we had gone live with our Section 21 portal. So it's a module of the SAHPRA engagement platform. And that was on the 1st of April. So we had actually then commenced with receiving applications on that portal. I must say, in the first few weeks, it was very slow in terms of the usability, but the developers have helped us tremendously from the applicant and the reviewer's point of view. So we are now, I think, in a more in a better space in terms of reviewing applications and sending outcome letters according to our pre-portal timelines, which was within 3 working days. So the latest development is that we have updated the Section 21 guideline. It's a minor amendment, but it does include the multiple patient scenario where perhaps the product that has been registered has now become out of stock or has become discontinued. It also caters for the payments for radiopharmaceuticals, TPN products as well. And so this has been incorporated into the guideline, in terms of the payment requirement for that. At the moment, applications are coming in and we are screening them. Applicants are responding very swiftly to the queries that we are sending out. And, I think at the moment we are having a quick response time to the applications. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shamli. Let's see. Okay, so some questions here. It says, with reference to Section 21, may we please ask for feedback on the queries raised at the last webinar and subsequent emails? If you can please recommend to who we should send these. So I think Shamli has spoken to that. Shamli, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add.
So, Chair, we are in the process of responding individually to email queries as well as, we are taking telephonic queries where it is in terms of a, Section 21 application or something to do with an unregistered medicine or so on. We will handle them. If it is a technical issue, a technical IT issue, we then refer it to the developer, and the developer works with the applicant to ensure that that glitch is cleared. But we are currently working through the email queries that we have received.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, some questions for Luleka. If you could address those, Luleka. All right, good. Thank you, Shamli. Let's open up Dogozo, the platform for questions. And we've got 30 minutes. Okay, please raise your hand if you've got questions for us. I'm still not seeing any hands. I don't know if you've been enabled to do so. Dogozo, just check.
Yes, yes, there's some hands.
Okay, I think there's a bit of a delay from my side. Apologies. So I see, if I butcher your name, apologies. Gaffo and Karine, please, if we can take those two for now.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's Gafoor. I'd just like to ask something on the portal where you export and to update your data. I don't know if it's part of this program of the agenda today, but that's the one I'm struggling with, where the portal, we have to export the data and then update it. I'm just want to ask the question is when I export it, is there specific data that I need to update that's not on the portal, or is there an indication on the extract itself? Thank you.
Pratibha, did you get that? I just want to check.
No, can you repeat that, please?
Okay, thank you. So when you export the data to update a product that you've put on the portal, there's an export button. I see in the export applications. So on that export Excel sheet, is there specific things that's highlighted that you must correct, or do you have to rectify everything?
Oh, so you only work on those fields that have incorrect or missing data.
So how do you know
Does it
that?
help?
So how do you know what's the missing data? Because I've got
Are you
data in there.
unable to see?
Yeah, I can see it, but like it's highlighted in blue and white. So and those are the things that I've updated. But all the fields are updated, but I can't see what's incorrect and what's I can't distinguish those from the extract itself.
And related to that product. Okay,
Correct.
all right. Can you share that example with me via email? I just want to have a look at what you see. We had similar with another applicant yesterday, but I could see the data. So I'm just wondering what you can see. Yeah.
Thank you. I will. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Let's take Karine.
Good morning and thank you. I just want to know whether there's an update from the complementary unit, Dr. Kaiser's unit, with regards to the timelines for industry to wait on confirmation of receipt for anything that's been submitted to their portal, or to receive second and third responses to responses that we have submitted to the portal. And the question pertains to the fact that I don't think industry is certain as to what we are allowed or not allowed to do with the products on our 3D list if there are still open questions or open responses for which we haven't received any feedback back from the unit. Can we commercialize them? Must we stop them? What are we supposed to do while we wait for responses to our responses, or even confirmation of receipt that something has been submitted to the portal, please?
Can I
Okay,
answer,
Kaiser,
Sierra?
I hope, let's pause a bit. Let's take Nicola and then we'll have you respond. Yes, go ahead, Nicola.
Thank you very much. Good good morning, everyone. To me, just a quick question around the SARS documentation that was published by SARS on complementary medicine tariffs. If you recall, there were some errors, for want of a better word, in the document that didn't mirror with what with the regulations. Are you able to comment on that at all for us, please?
Okay, Kaiser will also speak to that.
Thanks.
Okay, great. Kaiser, please take those two.
Thanks, Chair. Regarding the first questions on the timelines for confirmation of receipt are following submission. The way our system is designed, the moment, and I'm assuming that this question is based on whether and when an application is submitted, when do applicants receive confirmation that in fact this has been submitted and received? Our system is designed in such a way that the moment you click submit, you get your own copy back. That copy acts as your confirmation of submission. So if you haven't received such a copy, please contact the unit who will send you your copy. With regards to the timelines on the evaluation rounds. Now, from the time that you click submit and an application is received, from that day, it takes 15 working days for the evaluation to be conducted. And we immediately would communicate the SAHPRA queries back to the applicant within that timeline. Now, between when an application is received, the first evaluation and the second is you count about 15 working days. Where there is a little bit of lag or delay is where the applications have been recommended. So that part of the recommendation is what we are currently engaging internally, and we're hoping that soon we will be communicating the resolution to that part. The second question on the SARS tariffs. Yes, Nicola, we considered the submission as received by the CEO, and we communicated to SARS on what SAHPRA has also identified as a discord between what they have published and what SAHPRA position is. So the last feedback we saw was that our submission to SARS was acknowledged and will be handled internally by SARS. So we are still waiting to get feedback on that. Thanks, Dr. Tumi.
Okay, thank you, Kaiser. All right, let's see. Karine, your hand is still up. Just check, just confirm with me if it's a legacy one or do you have another question? Please go ahead.
No, not a legacy one. Thank you, Dr. Kaiser, for your answer. I'm not sure. I don't want to put you on the spot on this forum, but we can take this offline as well. But with regards to immediately receiving back a copy of our submission, I've submitted things twice since January this year, and for neither one of them, I actually received the email back. The screen says, thank you for your submission. A copy has been sent, but I never received the copy in my email. That's the one thing. So I'm not sure whether it's an IT issue on my side or your side. And then with regards to the turnaround times after submission, 15 days, also, I'm really not experiencing that. So I'm not sure whether it's an I issue, a me issue, or whether other applicants have the same experience, but that is definitely not working on our side. So yeah, we can take it offline. I don't want to put you on the spot here on this forum. Thank you.
No, I'm happy to engage you offline, but that email that you're saying, it says thank you for a copy will be sent. If you go through it, there is a tab that says click here to download your copy. but we can discuss offline. Is okay.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kaiser. And then we have a hand from Nokutula.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This question is to Kaiser. I just need to find out. I've raised the question in the Q&A that we submitted our amendment in July 2024, and the status on the portal still says in process. I've sent quite a numerous quite a number of emails to no response. So my question is, to whom do we then contact, or rather send these emails?
Normally, okay, let me start with the date that you say you submitted. Now, you see, when you mentioned that I've submitted in 2024, you also need to provide context in terms of the turn of events from when you submitted to where we are, so that we can be able to answer you accordingly. Where on the website the status remain in process, the moment that application comes into the system will be in process until we change the status upon the finalization, when the CEO finally signed the final report we recommend to her. So the status will remain as such. But in terms of wanting to know the status of your application from when you submitted to date, you can contact me directly, provide me with details of your application, including the reference number. I will let you know where that lies. But there is some activities that happen from when you submitted to date. That's what I'm quite sure.
The only activity that happened was basically an acknowledgement that my application has been received, and the option to download the PDF of my submission. And since then, I've been sending emails, but I just get acknowledgements. But there is nothing that of substance that has actually come from the unit.
Can I propose that you then write to Kaiser today, and he will then make sure that this matter is resolved, okay?
All right, thanks, Butumen.
Thank you. I need someone to mute. There's a meeting going
Christelna.
on. Is it Christelna?
Yeah, and she's in another meeting, so the sooner we... Maybe Dogozo can please mute her.
And also the country-controlled substances like your codeine-containing finished products. We also want to show
Dogozo, may you please mute the COO? I'm trying to from my side.
She is not
She's
in
not
this
here.
meeting. It's somebody else. Yeah.
So I
I'm
think
not seeing
Laretta, Laretta needs to mute, because it seems Laretta's in the same meeting. There we go.
Let's do this.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Any other questions? We said no Nokutula, but I saw the voice was coming from SA Boardroom. So I don't know. Nokutula's hand is still up. Okay. Any other questions? I'm not seeing hands on my side. And Dogos, are you seeing anything?
No hands on my side as well.
Okay, colleagues, will give it. Okay, let's take
There's
a
one.
question from Chris, please.
Good morning. I'm asking, since we've been asking questions of Kaiser, I do have one question regarding the CM's unit. You mentioned just earlier that we're going to be doing a socio-economic survey. So the question is, what is the timeline for that survey? And will the results of the survey or the survey report be made available to industry?
Okay, Kaiser.
I was hoping the CRO will take it.
It's fine, I'll take it. I see Covalin put the same question on the chat, and I did respond to him to say that it is a new process. We have concluded on the URS required, and we'll have to follow our supply chain processes. Whether it can be made publicly available, we'll have to check with the NDOH. May I ask that the CAMS working group please table this, and as we gather information, we will share in that forum. But for now, this is all the information that we do have. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Yes, Puti.
Morning, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Puti.
Okay, thank you. Just to ask one question regarding the portal. The last communication, they said the applications will appear in both the application manager and the legacy, but however, on our side, we don't have anything under legacy. So I'm not sure if it's something that's already being done or it's about to be done. Thank you.
Pratibha, can you speak to it, or
I
should we?
I can take it. I didn't see who's the applicant. Please confirm who's the applicant for the question.
It's Unimed Healthcare.
Okay, all right, I'll have a look. I know the queries with Unimed, and tickets have been raised. So I just need to see what's on the DocuBridge, because that's the only way your legacy applications will appear on the portal. And you know that eSubs are not being pulled across, it's only eCTDs. So I'm well aware of the Unimed query. I'll have a look again. Thanks.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, and then let's take Kamantha.
Hi, Pratibha. I have the same issue as Puti. It's Dr. Reddy's laboratory. So if you could help us as well, or we could schedule a time when we could maybe just connect for a call.
Right. Okay, so as I mentioned, it has to already be in DocuBridge for it to move over to the portal, and the CIPC numbers have to be the same on both the DocuBridge as well as the portal. So we raise tickets for this, and they're investigated on the back end. So I'll have a look for your emails and just escalate your tickets again.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, I don't see other hands. Okay, I think in the absence of, okay, yeah, Julia, please.
Good morning. I just wanted to ask on the variation summary that we generated on the DV portal. So now that the DV portal is no longer active and we are submitting on the FTP side, what will be the process then going forward for those type 1 applications that perhaps the DV portal will generate within a week? Thank you.
Dr. T, I can take that as well.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, so the new SAHPRA engagement portal has been set up to create the variation summary for the applicants. It will look exactly the same as the summary that was created on the previous DVP. So for combined quality and inspectorate variations, where you have already received quality approval, but the DVP has now since been decommissioned, you will then need to create the inspectorate aspect of the variation in the SAHPRA engagement portal so that the portal creates your summary for you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So if you, colleagues, if you've got any portal related Queries, questions, please do email Pratibha and Kristalna. And if it includes section 21, include Shamli, and the team will try their utmost to support you. Okay. In the absence of any other questions, I'm going to then close the session. And thank you all again for joining us. We were sitting with about 442 participants. And again, it's a demonstration of the importance of these sessions. And thank you so much for your active participation. You will get all the presentations shared by our comms team, and we will endeavor that in the next meeting.
Theo, you're muted. Sorry to disturb you.
No worries. Someone wanted me to stop. It's fine. I'm joking. So I wanted to say that we will be sharing the presentations through the comms team, and going forward, we will also then endeavor for each item where there's substantive feedback to put that into a slide so that you can have it to consume even afterwards. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We will see you then in the next quarter. All right. Have a good day further. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.